Hello sports fans, it is Tuesday, March the 5th, the year 2013, and as usual, a lot to get to in the sports world, so let's get it going right now. We're going to get into our college basketball top 25. We're going to check out some teams that are on the bubble that have to start winning. We're in the last week of the college basketball regular season, next week of the conference tournaments, and then the week after that, we're into March Madness already, believe it or not. Before we get to that, let's do some scores from last night. Wasn't a gigantic night in the sports world yesterday. There was a few things going on, though. Let's start in the NBA, where the New York Knicks had a tremendous comeback in Cleveland. The Knicks are down 22 points early in this game. Carmelo Anthony goes out in knee injury. We'll keep an eye on that injury. We'll see how long he's going to be out. Hopefully it won't be too long. The Knicks come storming back and actually win the game in Cleveland. Nice win by the Knicks. Remember, the Knicks were on a back-to-back as well. They had played Miami on Sunday, had a tough loss in the Garden against Miami. Then they lose Melo early in the game against Cleveland. They're down 22, and Cleveland is not bad. I mean, I know they have not a great record. Cleveland has some talent. Irving is going to be a star. So Cleveland is not a total dog, but the Knicks come flying back. Amari Stoudemire, huge last night. He had this beautiful reverse dunk. I hope you caught that. So a nice bounce-back win by the Knicks last night. They showed a lot of heart being down 22 without Melo winning that game. Milwaukee in overtime beat Utah in Milwaukee. Milwaukee all of a sudden has caught fire here. Milwaukee struggled most of February. The last couple of weeks, they've been on absolute fire. So nice win by Milwaukee. Jennings hits the big three to send it into overtime, and Milwaukee wins in overtime. Utah really playing bad basketball. They're starting to slide. They're in danger not making the playoffs. They're one of those teams, Utah, Golden State, Houston, the Lakers can catch one or all of those teams. Utah's starting to really dip, and Utah on the road 10-20, a miserable road team. Denver last night at home beat Atlanta. Denver just continues to roll at home. Denver in that altitude, really, really good home team. Virtually unbeatable in Denver this year. I think they have the best home record in basketball this year, Denver. So they beat the Hawks. And Miami continues its winning ways. They've won now 15 in a row. They polish off the T-Wolves, who are just having a miserable season. Kevin Love has missed most of the season. They've had injuries left and right. Even their coach Adelman's been out a while because his wife was ill. I mean, just a complete disaster in Minnesota. Miami polishes them off 15 in a row for Miami. Very impressive. Over to the NHL we go. The Toronto Maple Leafs at home beat New Jersey. New Jersey's really struggling. Brodeur hurt. Maple Leafs playing a lot better this year. And Pittsburgh at home rallies and beats Tampa Bay. Malkin back in the lineup last night. Over to your college basketball last night. Not a great night in college basketball. You expect a better lineup on Big Monday for college basketball. We didn't get it last night. Louisville at home beats Cincinnati. No surprise there. Louisville's been on fire. And Texas at home beat Baylor. Baylor, what are you doing? Baylor's a bubble team. They have an awful loss to Kansas State over the weekend, and then they come back against a bad Texas team and lay an absolute dud. You know what that tells me? They're not an NCAA tournament team. They're an NIT team. That's where they're headed right now. You can't lose to a bad Texas team when you're on the bubble. They came out flat as a pancake last night, Baylor. Terrible job. I did catch a good women's college basketball game last night. Notre Dame beat UConn in 3 overtimes on the women's side. Those two teams are really, really good. UConn's got to be kicking themselves. They missed a ton of free throws. And I know the game went into 3 overtimes, so the stats are a little skewed. UConn had almost 40 turnovers in this game. I think it was a UConn record for most turnovers they've ever had. Almost 40 turnovers in the game. Two solid women's programs, though, Notre Dame and UConn. Very good game last night. Matter of fact, you could say that was one of the games of the night, the women's college basketball last night. It was not a big night in sports last night at all. So that's kind of some of the scores from last night. Without further ado, let's get to our college basketball top 25. Then we're going to go through some teams that are on the bubble that really need to start picking it up. They're running out of time. This is the last week. Then you got your conference tournament. Some of these teams are putting themselves in a position where they're going to have to win their conference tournament to make the big dance, and that's never easy. Here we go. College basketball top 25 is out. We're going to go 25-1. Number 25, Memphis. They are 25-4. They had an 18-game winning streak. They did lose to Xavier. Conference USA is not that good, and you can tell by where Memphis is ranked that it's not that good. Memphis is 25-4, but yet they're ranked 25. I mean, they have one of the better records in college basketball, yet they're only ranked 25. Conference USA doesn't get a lot of respect. I mean, I don't want to take it away from Memphis. Memphis always has a solid program. They were a little better with Calipari because he was such a great recruiter. But Conference USA is not that great. Memphis has won this conference, it seems, every single year. They are ranked 25. Number 4, Notre Dame. They are 22-7. Jack Cooley's been sick. He's their best player. He has been sick. We'll keep an eye on that to see if he gets healthy this week. He has been sick under the weather. We'll see if he gets back. I love the coach Bray for Notre Dame. He gets the most out of his players. I've been saying it all year. This is not a great Notre Dame team, yet they're 22-7, and they're going to be dancing again this year. Number 23, UCLA. 22-7. They've won 4 straight. They're in first place in the Pac-12. Muhammad is a fabulous player. He's going to go to the NBA next year. We know the coach is good. UCLA was abominable at the beginning of the year. Here they go again. They're 22-7. I mean, they are really well coached. They always seem to get back there, you know, at the end of the year. Always seem to be in the tournament lately. Nice job by UCLA after a really slow start. Number 22, Wisconsin. They are 20-9. Lost to Purdue at home. What's that all about? Purdue's not that good this year, and Purdue went into Wisconsin in the Kohl Center and beat Wisconsin. Very surprised about that. Wisconsin 20-9. Very tough team to play with their style. Number 21, Virginia Commonwealth, 23-6. They bombed Baylor, and they had 15. They bombed Butler, and they had 15 steals in that game against Butler. Really, really nice job by Virginia Commonwealth. We know they've had a couple of nice runs in the tournament the last few years. We love the coach. Really nice program, Virginia Commonwealth. Number 20, Pittsburgh. They're 23-7. Nice win in overtime against Villanova. They're down late in that game. They tie it, send it into overtime, and they win it in overtime. Jamie Dixon is a really tough coach, preaches defense. They sometimes have trouble scoring, Pittsburgh. That always gets them in the tournament. They go long stretches without scoring, but their effort and defense are always there. Number 19, Oregon. They're 23-6. Dominic Artis, their point guard, is back, and that is huge. They were not the same team without him. They get him back now. Number 18, Arizona, 23-6. They lost to USC and UCLA last week. I don't love what I've seen from Arizona recently. They could be one of those teams that I pick in the tournament to lose. You know, maybe they get upset early. I don't like the way they're playing recently, Arizona. Number 17, Syracuse. Speaking of teams not playing well, 17, Syracuse. They are 22-7. They've lost 6 of 10 games. They're playing miserable ball. They're not shooting well. Jim Boeheim says he's not worried. He's saying they've been close in all these games and they haven't shot the ball well. He says if they shoot the ball well, they can win these games. Here's my problem. Maybe they're just not a good shooting team. Maybe they're not shooting well because they just can't shoot. I don't like what I've seen at all from Syracuse. A few weeks ago, I thought they were a Final Four team. They got healthy, got all their players back. We know their zone causes a lot of problems for teams. They are not firing on all cylinders, not peaking at the right time. Syracuse and Arizona, very shaky right now. Number 16, St. Louis, 23-5. They've won 11 in a row. They're leading the division. St. Louis was going to be one of my sleeper teams at the beginning of the year. The problem is they're not a sleeper anymore. They're ranked 16th. I mean, I can't pick them as a sleeper now. They're ranked 16th. They're 23-5. They've won 11 in a row. So they blew up my sleeper pick, but they are playing tremendous ball, St. Louis. Number 15, Marquette, 21-7, 25 straight wins at home. And they play at the Bradley Center where the Milwaukee Bucks play. They actually outdraw the Bucks as far as attendance. Marquette gets a nice home crowd there. Really nice home crowd in Milwaukee for Marquette games. 25 straight at home. That says it all. Number 14, Ohio State, 21-7. They're in a 4-way tie for second in the Big Ten. I don't love the way Ohio State's finished the year either. They were up in the top 5 early in the year. They're a little shaky to me. They've lost to most of the bigger teams this year. They've had a couple decent wins. A lot of the time, I haven't been impressed with Ohio State when they played the bigger teams. They still have a good team, but can they get to the Final Four? I would say no at this point. Number 13, Oklahoma State, 22-6, 10 of the last 11. Oklahoma State, one of the hottest teams in all of college basketball. They're a surprise this year. I didn't think they'd be this good, and they are on fire. 10 of 11 recently, playing tremendous ball. Number 12, New Mexico. They are 25-4. 5 straight conference titles, and no surprise, perfect at home in the league. I told you about the pit all year. I told you what a snake pit it is. Nobody can win there. They go undefeated in league play in the pit. New Mexico, a really great home crowd. Number 11, Florida. They're 23-5. Sloppy. Florida's better than this. I mean, they have a great record, but they're better than number 11. They're sloppy. Now, they had a lot of injuries. Here's the thing I don't like about Florida. Away from Gainesville, away from those rowdy reptiles at home, they haven't been playing well. Remember, good teams play well at home. Great teams take their show on the road. Florida hasn't proven that this year, and I like Florida. Number 10, Michigan State. They are 22-7. Lost 3 in a row. Lost to Indiana, Ohio State, and Michigan. We know they're battle-tested. We trust Izzo. They always make a run in the tournament. I mean, you look up, they're in the Final 8 every year. Even though they've lost 3 in a row to elite teams, I still think they're going to make a run in the tournament. I trust Izzo in the tournament. I just do. Number 9, Kansas State. They are 24-5. They've won 5 straight, 9-10. Tied with Kansas for the Big 12 lead. Kansas State, tremendous job this year. Bruce Weber, who used to coach Illinois, took Illinois to a Final Four, doing a great job with Kansas State. And I want to give credit. Martin, who's the coach of South Carolina now, recruited a lot of these players at Kansas State before he bolted for South Carolina. So I want to give him a little credit. He did recruit these players, but Bruce Weber's taken them to another level here. Number 8, Louisville, 24-5, 5 in a row, beat Syracuse at the Dome. Louisville's a contender. They're well coached. They're battle-tested. They always make a run in the tournament. I really like what I see from Louisville. Number 7, Michigan. They are 24-5. They beat Michigan State after they lost to Penn State. So figure that out. You lose to Penn State, who hadn't won a league game all year, and then you turn around and have a big win against your arch rival, Michigan State. I like Michigan. Have a lot of freshmen playing. So that is a little bit of a negative. No experience there. Number 6, Miami. They're 23-5. Even though they lost to Duke, I like the way they battled Duke. They had 2 3-pointers at the end of that game to tie the game. And this is after Kelly, who got back for Duke, almost had 40 points and was on fire. Miami was still in the game. Miami is well coached, solid team. I'm a believer in Miami. I actually liked what I saw from Miami against Duke, even though they lost. Number 5, Georgetown, 23-4. The hottest team in all of college basketball. How well is Georgetown playing? When's the last time they lost? And how good is Otto Porter? He looks like the player of the year to me. He's an amazing player. Georgetown on absolute fire. They're up to number 5 in the country. Number 4, Kansas, 25-4. 6 straight after their... Remember they had that bad week a few weeks ago? They lost 3 games in a row. They lost to TCU somehow. They were in just a fog for a week. They snapped out of it, back to playing Kansas basketball, 6 in a row, tied for the Big 12 lead, and they have the tiebreaker over Kansas State. Kansas always a threat to go to the Final Four. Number 3, Duke, 25-4. Welcome back Ryan Kelly, who exploded for almost 40 points against Miami. Guy hadn't played in 2 months. He couldn't miss. Didn't look like he was tired at all. Was bombing away from 3-point range. What a performance by him. With him in the lineup playing like that, Duke can get to the Final Four. Number 2, Indiana. They're 25-4. It's funny. Indiana's been ranked number 1 3 times this year and lost. They don't like being ranked number 1. They're still a very solid team. They're still a deep team. They're still one of the threats to get to the Final Four. I like Indiana's team. I love when they play at home in Bloomington. Just great tradition there in Indiana. I really like Indiana's team. Number 1, Gonzaga. They're 29-2. 12 in a row, ranked number 1 for the first time in their history. Congratulations to Gonzaga being ranked number 1 for the first time in their history. I remember when Gonzaga was just a little mid-major. I mean, now they are ranked number 1 in all of college basketball. On the negative side, their conference is not great. I don't want to pick on them. Their conference is not great. You have a couple teams in there, top to bottom, though, not a great conference. So you have to keep that in mind. But let's not take it away from Gonzaga. Number 1, tremendous job by them building this program out there in Spokane, Washington. That's your top 25. 2 teams that dropped out of the top 25, Butler and Louisiana Tech. They're out of the top 25, but I think they're safely in the tournament. Now, let's get to our bubble teams. These teams are on big trouble. They have to finish the season strong. We're in the last few days of the regular season, then the conference tournaments next week. Have to finish strong here. Time is running out for these teams. Here's some teams on the bubble right now that I think are on the bubble, though. Iowa State, they're on the bubble, but I think they're in as of right now. Temple, Villanova, and Ole Miss, even though Ole Miss lost to Mississippi State. I think those teams are just barely in right now. Can't afford any slip-ups, though. Now, here's some teams I think are on the outside looking in. I think Kentucky right now, without their big men, they're on the outside looking in, but they're close. Baylor, I mean, they're falling apart. I just told you what they did. They lost to Texas, had a bad loss to Kansas State. Baylor's going the other way. Arizona State on the outside looking in right now. Indiana State had a terrible loss to Drake at home. Southern Miss needs help. St. John's, they look like they're headed to the NIT. They suspended one of their players. Another one of their top players is hurt. St. John's does play at Notre Dame, and they do play Marquette. So those are two quality opponents. Here's the problem. I don't think they could beat either one of them. Now, if they happen to win those two games, that could really, really, get them in the right direction. But I don't see them winning both games. I don't see them winning one of those games. You never know, though. Boise State on the outside looking in. Alabama has had some bad losses recently. And Maryland. I mean, Maryland had a big win against Duke this year, but they didn't follow it up. They ended up losing to Boston College after that. Maryland right now on the outside looking in. There is a little bit of time, but you have to win your last few games this week, and then you got to go on a big run in your conference tournament. I mean, so those are some of the teams on the outside looking in. We are running out of time. All right, so that is your college basketball. As far as what to watch tonight, let's go over to our college basketball. Ohio State at Indiana, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's a nice game. I love the atmosphere at Bloomington, Indiana. Please watch. Anytime Indiana's home, check them out. The crowd alone is just tremendous. We'll see if Ohio State can get a big road win. I think they're walking into a buzzsaw here. I think Indiana rolls over Ohio State tonight. St. John's, I just mentioned them. They're at Notre Dame tonight. If St. John's wants to make the dance, they're going to have to beat Notre Dame tonight. We'll see if Jack Cooley is back for Notre Dame. I said he was sick. We'll see if he plays tonight. Huge game for St. John's. I don't think they can win this game. You never know, though. Arkansas at Missouri, very interesting game. I don't think Arkansas is going to make the tournament, but remember, the Arkansas coach used to coach at Missouri, so we'll see what kind of reception he gets from the crowd. Alabama at Ole Miss. Ole Miss on the bubble. Alabama even further out. Very important game for both teams. Boise State at UNLV. Boise State needs a quality win. Here's your chance. Over to your NBA tonight, Lakers at Oklahoma City. I mean, if Lakers could go over 500 tonight, could creep even closer to that 8th spot. Tough game, though. At Oklahoma City, Lakers are a terrible road team. I would expect Oklahoma City to take care of business tonight. Over to your NHL, Islanders at Red Hot Montreal. Washington at Boston. Chicago at Minnesota. We'll see if Chicago can keep their winning streak alive. LA at St. Louis. And then you have Philadelphia at the Rangers. Very, very nice rivalry game there. Very nice game. By the way, Montreal is at the Islanders. I'm sorry, I had that a little mixed up. Montreal is at the Islanders, and actually Chicago is also home tonight. Minnesota is at Chicago. I had that reversed. Sorry about that. And also, if you have some time today, there is a really good soccer game on today. I think it's on 3 o'clock, Eastern Standard Time. It's an afternoon game, so I don't know if you guys are going to get a chance to see it. You can find it on one of your soccer channels. Real Madrid, which is the Spanish team, against Manchester United, the English power, at Manchester United. This is the second leg. These teams played already at Madrid. They tied 1-1. They now go to the second leg of this tournament. I mean, Manchester United has the advantage. They are home, but Real Madrid is a solid team. If you ever want to watch soccer, this is the game to watch. Madrid at Manchester United today, 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on one of your soccer channels. I don't know if you guys like soccer. I don't know if you can, gonna get home in time for this game. But if you ever wanted to watch a soccer game, this is the game to watch. Madrid at Manchester United today. Okay, so you have some things to watch today. Tomorrow we're going to do our NHL. Thursday we're going to do our NBA. Once the NCAA tournament starts, I'm going to do some shows on Friday. I'll get to some more movies at the end of the week. You guys enjoy the games tonight. Stay safe. I will talk to you tomorrow, Wednesday. Thanks for tuning in. Take care.